I caught my girlfriend walking out of my friend's bedroom after hooking up, so I exposed him to the friendship group and left for good. I met Maya on a warm Friday in early spring, 5 years ago. I still see the sun on her hair that day, turning every strand into a ribbon of bronze. I remember the line at the coffee truck, the smell of burned beans, the clink of coins in the vendor's dish. She ordered a mocha with extra cream. I ordered a plain black. We joked about how different our tastes were. She laughed at her own faux mustache and wiped it with the back of her hand. I offered a napkin and she said, "Thanks, gentlemen," with a little bow. I walked away, thinking of the way her eyes shone when she teased me. The next week I saw her again, same place, same time. We talked about work, books, cheap lunches. She liked mystery novels because they promised a neat ending. I liked history because it refused to end neatly. By the third meeting we had numbers in each other's phones and an awkward promise to hang out. That Friday night we ate cheap ramen on a bench and breathed cold air that tasted of salt from the river. Somewhere in the middle of a story about childhood pets, she laid her hand on my knee as if it belonged there. I went home floating. Months passed in a rush of text messages, weekend trips, and small discoveries. She hated raisins. She loved thunderstorms. She sang in the shower, off-key but bold. I learned to cook one good pasta dish so I could impress her. She pretended it was gourmet even when the noodles stuck together. I decided that maybe life could stay like this, simple, steady, full of her laugh and my clumsy jokes. When our first years slipped by, we bought each other matching mugs that said, "1 year down, forever to go." I drank from mine every morning. 2 years in, I asked her if she wanted to meet my friends. I had dragged my feet about it. My group was tight, loud, sometimes rough around the edges. We called ourselves the Pack and spent too many nights in the same dive bar that smelled of stale beer and wet coats. There was Leo, who played bass and never tuned his strings. There was Grace, who told stories with her hands. There was Tom, the quiet one, always fixing something. And there was Ryan, tall, charming, the sort of guy who flashed a smile and made you feel like the only person in the room. I warned Maya about our inside jokes and our bad karaoke. She only said, "Let me in, I'll survive." The night she met them, we crammed into Leo's apartment. Pizza boxes everywhere, a dog barking in the corner, music too loud. Maya held my hand until we passed the first wave of introductions. Then she let go so she could gesture while she talked. She matched every tease with one of her own. When she beat Grace at pool, the room exploded in cheers. I watched her glow, proud and a little afraid that she would outshine us all. By midnight she was swapping stories with Ryan, laughing at something I could not hear over the music. I felt relief. The Pack liked her. She liked them. I thought, good, we can fit. Months later the novelty settled into comfort. Game nights, group hikes, silly group chats. Maya had texted me memes that Ryan had posted. She asked Tom for advice on fixing a wobbly shelf. She and Grace shared thrift store hauls. Everything looked perfect from the outside. Still, I noticed how often Maya's phone lit up with Ryan's name. They bonded over podcasts I did not listen to. They argued about soccer scores. She sent him photos of new recipes, of the sky outside our window, of the cat that watched us from a neighbor's sill. I told myself it was harmless. Friends shared. Friends laughed. But some nights the back of my throat tasted sour. One winter Saturday, Maya and I argued over something small. I cannot even recall the topic now. Dishes in the sink? Maybe. Our plans for a weekend trip. Voices rose. Eyes flashed. She grabbed her coat and left to cool off. I paced, fuming at empty walls. 2 hours later she returned calm, almost cheerful. We talked it through, smoothed the edges, found our apologies. I asked, "Where did you go?" She said, "Just a walk," and I rang Ryan. Needed to vent. The words sat heavy in my chest. I nodded but did not speak the worry that bloomed. Why him? Not me? We fought about it a week later. I told her I felt strange that she shared our private cracks with someone else. She said she needed space sometimes, a friendly. I said I feared feeling exposed. She said I sounded controlling. The label stung more than the argument itself. Controlling. I had tried my whole life to be gentle, to listen. Yet here she stood, accusing me of clamping down on her freedom. We ended that night in separate rooms, both sure we were right, both unsure how to move. Time healed some of it, or so I believed. We planned a trip to the coast. We adopted a plant we named Gertrude. We danced in the kitchen to old rock songs. I toyed with the idea of proposing. I saved articles on ring styles. I peered in jewelry windows. When the sun hit her at certain angles, I saw a future, her in a white dress, me fumbling vows, our families wrapped around us like a quilt. I even asked Grace once, do you think she'd say yes? Grace smiled. She adores you, obviously. Yet the earlier fights lingered like smoke in the rafters. Ryan and Maya grew closer still. They called just to mock each other's music playlists. They shared jokes that skated past me. I did my best to be chill, to remind myself of trust. But in the late hours, lying awake, I felt a chill crawl. I pictured them laughing at my quirks. I pictured them on city benches, knees almost touching, leaning into secrets. I hated myself for the pictures, hated my own doubt. Then I hated her for causing doubt. Guilt turned to resentment. Resentment turned along silences at dinner. Spring turned again. The packed buzz about Leo's upcoming house party. He had finished renovations and wanted to celebrate. We agreed to meet on a Saturday, bring drinks, crash on sofas if needed. Maya planned snacks. I bought 2 bottles of rum. We joked that we were too old for all-nighters, but we went anyway. The house sat at the edge of town, wide porch, lights strung overhead. Music spilled into the night as soon as we arrived. Inside, people mingled in pockets of laughter and spilled chips. I had promised myself to relax, to drink less, to listen more. But nerves made me tip the rum too fast. By 10 I floated. By 11 I drifted from room to room, hugging shoulders, shouting over music. Maya danced with Grace in the living room, hair swinging. I cheered from the couch and took another shot. Midnight hit like a wall. The crowd blurred. I lost track of time, lost track of where Maya stood. I saw Ryan near the kitchen, pouring beer. Then I saw Tom showing someone a broken speaker wire. Then I saw Leo lighting candles on the backyard steps. I did not see Maya. I stumbled through the hall, calling her name too quietly for the noise. I checked the bathroom line, the porch, the lawn. Sweat dripped down my neck. My brain sloshed inside my skull. Maybe she's grabbing coats. I thought, maybe she's outside for air. I set my empty cup on a piano that had lost half its keys. My fingers trembled. I told myself not to panic, yet the sour taste returned. I climbed the stairs to the second floor, hoping to find a guest room and collapse. The hallway upstairs was dim. A single bulb flickered near the far end. Doors lined each side, most closed. I pressed one handle. Locked. Another creaked to show tangled coats. My breath rasped in my ears. I tried a third door, and the knob rotated under my palm. As I pushed, another door opposite opened. Maya stepped out, wearing only her black underwear and a bra I knew too well. Her eyes were wide, hair tangled, cheeks flushed. Behind her I saw Ryan on the bed, naked, sheets around his waist. His face froze, half turned toward the light. My mind snapped into place like an ugly puzzle. I said nothing. Maya's mouth opened, but no sound came. My chest boned, then chilled, then burned again. A great roar filled my ears. It might have been my own voice, but I did not recognize it. I saw myself cross the hall in 2 strides. Ryan sat up, hands out. He tried to speak. I could not hear. I launched forward, shoulder first, and we crashed onto the mattress. Fists found flesh. I do not recall which of us struck first, only the thud of knuckles on jaw, the sting in my hand, the grunt in his throat. We rolled, sheets twisting. I caught his hair and yanked. He kneed my side. I heard Maya screaming my name, begging us to stop. I felt Ryan's elbow cut my cheekbone. I tasted blood and copper. I pressed my forearm to his throat, pushing until his eyes bulged. He gasped, "Stop, man, stop." But the words were far away. A lamp shattered on the floor. Light died. In the gloom, I swung wild and hit wool instead of skin. Pain shot up my wrist. Ryan shoved me off balance, toppling me onto the floorboards. I thought I heard footsteps pounding up the stairs. I scrambled, but Ryan pinned my shoulders, panting. His breath smelled of beer. I growled and twisted, catching him in the ribs. We rolled again, hit the nightstand, sent a clock flying. Then strong arms pulled us apart. Leo, Tom, maybe others, shouting curses, dragging us toward opposite walls. I struggled against Leo's grip, shouting words I no longer remember. Ryan's lip bled. My knuckles split. Maya crouched near the door, wrapped in a blanket someone had thrown. She sobbed, I'm sorry, over and over. I wanted to answer, to ask, to scream. Instead, I spat blood on the wooden floor. Voices overlapped. What happened? Calm down. Get them downstairs. Grace hugged Maya. Tom pushed Ryan toward the bathroom to dress. Leo held me until the fight drained, leaving a hollow ache. Someone pressed a cold towel to my cheek. I stared at the ceiling, counting cracks in the plaster, afraid to look at Maya again because her face would break me. Downstairs, Music had stopped. Guests gathered in uneasy knots. News traveled fast. A fight, betrayal, disaster. I sat on the bottom step, head in hands, hearing my friends argue. This is insane. How long? I thought they were fine. Maya approached, wearing borrowed sweatpants, eyes red. Can we talk? She asked. Her voice quivered. I lifted my head but could not stand. Talk. I repeated, as if the word were foreign. She knelt beside me. I never meant to hurt you, she said. Ryan and I, it just happened tonight. We were drunk, stupid. It's not love. I stared at her tear-streaked face and felt something else snap. Maybe trust, maybe hope. I whispered, I was going to propose. Her shoulders shook with new sobs. She reached for my hand. I flinched away. Ryan, now dressed, stepped forward, bruise blooming on his jaw. I'm sorry, man. I failed you. His eyes watered. I laughed, a brittle sound. You failed both of us, I said. He tried to say more, but words tangled. Grace turned on him, voice sharp. You knew how he felt. You knew this would crush him. Tom cursed under his breath. Leo gripped Ryan's arm, steering him out the front door. Go, Leo said. Get him space before I throw you into the street. The party dissolved. Some guests slipped away without goodbye. Others lingered, whispering. Grace sat with Maya on the couch, stroking her hair while Maya sobbed. I sat on the step until dawn seeped gray through the windows. No one spoke to me. They gave me space, or maybe gave themselves distance from the wreck. At sunrise, I walked home alone. My jacket smelled of rum and sweat and somebody else's perfume. Streets were quiet, birds daring the day. I reached our apartment and hesitated outside the door. Inside were pictures of us on the fridge, our shared bookshelf, Gertrude the plant leaning toward light. I unlocked the door anyway and entered a space that already felt haunted. I packed a bag of clothes and the toothbrush I preferred. I left her mug on the counter, the one that said forever. Days blurred. Maya texted, called, came by. I let her knock. I rented a tiny studio near my office and slept on an air mattress. The pack fractured. Grace sided with me but still answered Maya's calls. Tom refused to choose, so he chose distance. Leo sent group messages that went unanswered. Ryan disappeared from chats. Social media turned quiet. Our jokes died. A week later we attempted a meeting, all 6 of us, at the same dive bar. It lasted 20 minutes. Words jabbed like dull knives. Accusations, defenses, half-hearted apologies. Ryan said, I know I'm the villain. I said, knowing doesn't fix it. Maya cried. Grace cried. Tom stared at his beer. Leo slapped the table and stormed out. That was the end of the pack. Months had passed. The bruise on my cheek faded but left a thin scar near the eye. I tell people I caught a branch while hiking. Maya moved out of our apartment and in with her sister cross town. I keep Gertrude. The plant wilted some days, but I water it anyway. I opened a small box under my bed last night, the ring I bought in secret. A simple silver band, a tiny stone. I thought of her smile, of thunderstorms, of the foam mustache on her first mocha. Then I shut the box and put it away again. I see Grace sometimes for coffee. We talk about jobs, not feelings. Tom sent me a link to a funny video last week. No words attached. Leo texts on birthdays. Ryan and Maya are ghosts I pass on busy streets. Maybe, maybe not. I have learned that groups can shatter like glass and the shards never fit back in the frame. I have learned that love can share a roof with doubt until doubt burns the beams. And I have learned that trust, once cracked, echoes louder than any shouted insult. But I am still here. I wake, breathe, drive to work. I read mystery novels now, trying to enjoy neat endings, though mine did not arrive neatly. Sometimes I walk along the river where we ate ramen on that first date. I imagine another version of us on that bench, still laughing. Then I let the image drift downriver and disappear. I am not sure when I will believe in forever again. Maybe next year, maybe never. Yet each morning the sun finds Gertrude's leaves and they reach, unfurling, because that is what living things do. I touch the scar near my eye and remember the worst night of my life. Then I step into daylight, a little braver, still healing, still moving. What did you think of this story? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments, and thanks for listening.